The edge of the universe wasn't far, not really. Only 4.3 billion miles from Earth, just a little past Pluto. That's where we found it, the barrier. Invisible, silent, immovable. Every probe, every ship, every attempt to push past it ended the same way. Humanity was trapped. Our home was not the endless cosmos we had imagined, but a cage. A bubble. A solitary snow globe in the vastness of existence. At first, no one believed it. How could we? Everything we saw with our telescopes, all those galaxies and wonders, it couldn't be a mirage. Yet, no matter how hard we tried, nothing got through. It was like running into an unyielding wall of glass, only there was no impact, no crash, just a hard stop. Naturally, theories abounded. Was the universe an illusion? A simulation rendered only as far as the edge of our solar system? Were we the cosmic equivalent of fish in a tank, watched by some unknowable beings? The questions haunted us, they consumed us, and as humans do when faced with the impossible, we refused to accept it. We hurled ourselves at the problem. For centuries, ship after ship tried to breach the wall. Probes, drones, crewed vessels, each more advanced, more ambitious than the last. We developed fusion drives, solar sails, even bases on Pluto to get closer. Nothing worked. But we kept trying, call it stubbornness or call it hope. Either way, humanity doesn't give up. Then, 8 months ago, something changed. A ship vanished. It crossed the barrier and didn't come back. That was new, exciting, terrifying. When we sent another drone through the same coordinates, it disappeared too. And that's how I found myself here, on the Odyssey, the first manned mission to cross the boundary, the first humans to step beyond the edge. My name is Preston Hale, and my co-pilot is Sofia Morales. We were trained for every contingency, or so we thought, but nothing could prepare us for what lay ahead. As we approached the barrier, I turned to Sofia, trying to sound confident. "The world is watching," I said. "The first manned flight through the gap. You and me, Sofia." She glanced at me, her expression carefully neutral. Took them long enough to approve it. 8 months of tests, simulations, and we still have no clue what's on the other side. No clue if we're coming back. "That's why it's us," I replied. "No one in their right mind would volunteer for this. But think about it. The possibilities. No human has ever seen what lies beyond. What if we find the answer to everything? Why we're here? Who built the cage?" Sofia leaned back in her seat, staring out at the void. "What if we're breaking out of paradise, Preston? Earth's too perfect. The exact proportions for eclipses, the Goldilocks zone. What if this is a gift, and we're the idiots throwing it away?" I shook my head. If it's a gift, it's a prison, and a prison isn't paradise. Knowledge of the truth, that's what makes us human. It's in our blood. We have to know. She sighed, a soft laugh escaping her lips. "Godspeed, my friend. It's been an honor." We detached the solar sails and activated the fusion drive for the final stretch. 1,000 miles to go. Then 100. Then 10. My heart was pounding, my hands gripping the armrests so tightly I thought they might snap. The barrier loomed ahead, invisible but undeniable. Then we hit it. Or rather, we passed through it. In an instant, everything changed. The ship's speedometer went wild, climbing exponentially. The stars vanished, replaced by a roaring ocean of light and energy. My body felt like it was being torn apart and stitched back together at the same time. The instruments blared alarms, lights flashing in a maddening symphony. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. And then, peace. Are you still with us? I hope you're buckled in because things are about to get even wilder. Don't forget to like this video if you're as intrigued as I am. Drop a comment. What do you think we'll find beyond the barrier? And hey, hit that subscribe button if you want to know what happens next. You won't want to miss it. The stars returned. The chaos subsided. I gasped for air, my lungs burning. We made it, I whispered, staring at the armrest I had ripped clean off. "You all right, Sofia? Where the hell are we?" She was already at the radio. "Pluto Station, do you copy? We made it through the gap, over." Only silence answered. I checked the instruments. The speedometer was still climbing, past 1 trillion miles per hour. "What the? This is impossible. We're moving faster than light. That's bullshit. The ship should have disintegrated." Sofia looked at me, her face pale. "We're in uncharted territory. Who knows what's possible here?" The controls were unresponsive, and the ship began to spin, sending my stomach lurching. Desperately, I slammed the back thrusters, trying to stabilize us. The engines screamed in protest, and then silence. Emergency power kicked in just as we hurtled toward an asteroid field. By some miracle, I managed to slow us down before we crashed. The Odyssey skidded across the surface of a massive asteroid, coming to a jarring halt. This is it, the moment everything could go wrong. If you've been holding your breath, you're not alone. Before we take the next step, make sure you've subscribed. Seriously, this journey's just getting started, and I don't want you to miss where it leads. Like the video if your heart's racing too, and let me know in the comments, what would you do in our shoes? We sat in silence for a moment, the reality sinking in. What the fuck just happened? I finally said. You're the scientist, explain. Sofia shook her head. I can't. This breaks every law of physics. Well, great. We're stranded on a rock in God knows where with no engines and no way home. What now? Sofia took a deep breath. We send a distress signal. Someone might hear us. There's no one out here, I muttered. No one's coming. We're on our own. But even as I said it, a tiny spark of hope remained. Maybe we weren't alone after all. Maybe someone or something was waiting for us on the other side. And there it is, the unknown. The Odyssey lay crumpled on the surface of the asteroid like a wounded animal. Its once pristine hull was scarred and battered, the engines dead. The emergency lights inside cast eerie red shadows that flickered like dying embers. Outside the windshield, an alien sky stretched endlessly, a canvas painted with stars that didn't belong to any chart humanity had ever made. We were alone, cut off from everything we knew. Sofia broke the silence. Well, we're not dead yet, she muttered, her voice laced with sarcasm. That's something, right? I forced a chuckle, though my throat felt dry. Survival's step 1. Step 2 is figuring out where the hell we are. Step 3, not dying. She glanced at the shattered control panel. Let's hope there's a step 4, where we actually make it home. Hope's good. Keep holding on to that. I pulled on my helmet and locked it into place. I'm heading out. If this asteroid is where we're stuck, I want to know what's on it. Fine, but take a scanner, Sofia said, tossing me the handheld device. We'll need every scrap of data we can get. The airlock hissed open and I stepped onto the surface. The gravity was light enough to make each step feel like a bounce. The asteroid's surface shimmered faintly, a silver hue that reflected the alien starlight. I paused, scanning the horizon. Something about the terrain felt wrong. Like it wasn't just rock. Anything interesting? Sofia's voice crackled through the comms. Not sure yet, I replied. This place is weird though. Keep monitoring. I trudged forward, my boots crunching softly on the strange soil. Then, a flicker of movement caught my eye. I froze. Something was there. Something alive. It darted just beyond the range of my helmet's light, a shadow skittering over the ground. My pulse quickened. Sofia, I whispered, there's something out here. Something like what? Can't tell yet. Stay ready. I took a cautious step forward, raising the scanner. The device beeped erratically, its readings chaotic. Whatever it was detecting didn't match any known parameters. A chill crept down my spine. The shadow darted again, closer this time. My breath hitched as the shape emerged from the darkness. It was small, no larger than a dog, but its body seemed to shimmer like liquid metal. Eyes, if you could call them that, glowed faintly, watching me with an unnerving intensity. I didn't move. Neither did they. Preston, talk to me. It's some kind of creature, I said, keeping my voice low. Metallic. Doesn't look hostile, but I'm not testing that theory. As if sensing my hesitation, the creature tilted its head, or what passed for a head, and let out a sound like chimes in the wind. Then, it turned and bolted, vanishing into the distance. It's gone, I said, exhaling. But that's not a good sign. This rock isn't just empty. It's got life. Back at the ship, Sofia was reviewing the data. This doesn't make sense, she said, frowning at the scanner's readings. The energy signatures here are off the charts. And that creature, it wasn't organic, not in the traditional sense. Artificial life, maybe, I suggested. Some kind of machine. Possibly. But the energy levels here, she trailed off, tapping the screen. It's like the asteroid itself is alive. Or connected to something alive. It sent a shiver through me. Great, so we're sitting on a giant alien nerve ending. Before she could respond, the ship's emergency systems blared to life. A proximity alert. Something, or someone, was approaching. We rushed to the viewport and my stomach sank. Dozens of the metallic creatures were swarming toward the ship. They moved with eerie coordination, flowing like water over the rocky terrain. Some climbed the ship's hull, their shimmering bodies reflecting the red emergency lights. They're everywhere, Sofia muttered, her voice trembling. What do they want? The ship shuddered as one of the creatures prized at the exterior. Panels creaked and groaned under the strain. I don't think they're here to chat, I said, grabbing a wrench from the toolkit. We have to get them off. Get them off? How, Preston? There are dozens of them. Improvisation is my speciality. Stay here and keep the airlock sealed. If they get inside, I didn't finish the thought. Instead, I slipped out into the fray. The creatures paid me no attention at first, their focus on the ship. I swung the wrench at the nearest one, and it shattered into a spray of silvery droplets. For a moment, I thought I'd won, until the droplets reassembled, reforming into its original shape. It turned toward me, and the others followed. Well, that's just unfair, I muttered. The creatures began to advance. I backed up, gripping the wrench tightly. Sofia, we've got a problem. They don't stay down. Fall back to the ship, she shouted. We'll think of something. But before I could retreat, the ground beneath me trembled. The creatures stopped, their attention shifting to the horizon. A low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. Then, the asteroid's surface split open, revealing a massive structure buried beneath the soil. Preston, what's happening out there? I think we just found out what's powering this place, I said, staring at the towering alien construct. It pulsed with light, the same silvery hue as the creatures. They began to flow toward it, abandoning the ship. Is it a building? Sofia asked, her voice filled with awe. More like a machine, I replied, and it's waking up. We approached the structure cautiously. The creatures paid us no mind now, their attention fully on the machine. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns, glowing faintly. A door-like opening appeared, beckoning us inside. This feels like a bad idea, Sofia said. It's our only idea, I replied, stepping through. Inside, the air was thick with energy. The walls seemed to hum, the patterns shifting as we moved. In the center of the chamber was a pedestal, and on it, a glowing orb. It pulsed with a rhythm that felt almost alive. This has to be the core, Sofia said, the source of the energy. As we approached, the orb reacted, sending a wave of light through the room. A voice echoed in our minds, not words, but emotions, curiosity, recognition, a question. Really know we're here, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Sofia reached out, her fingers brushing the orb. The room filled with light, and images flooded our minds. Stars, galaxies, civilizations beyond anything we could imagine. And then, a message, clear and unmistakable. You are not alone. We returned to the ship in stunned silence. The creatures had dispersed, the structure dormant once more. What do we do now? Sofia asked. I glanced at the orb we had brought back with us, its glow soft but constant. We survive, I said. And we learn. This isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. As I looked out at the alien sky, I couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. We had crossed the barrier, faced the unknown, and lived to tell the tale. Whatever came next, we would face it together. Because that's what it means to be human. The alien sky loomed overhead as Sofia and I huddled in the ship's cockpit, the orb between us glowing faintly. Its rhythmic pulsing had become strangely comforting, like a heartbeat tethering us to something larger. It wasn't just a power source, it was a message, a declaration. You are not alone. For the first time since crossing the barrier, we felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this wasn't a dead end. Maybe we weren't stranded in an empty void. Maybe someone or something would come for us. That we should have been more careful about what we wished for. It started with a low hum, distant but growing. At first, I thought it was coming from the orb, but Sofia shook her head. No, that's external, she said, her voice tight. Something's approaching. I ran to the viewport, scanning the horizon. At first, I saw nothing but the faint shimmer of the asteroid's surface. Then shapes began to emerge, growing larger as they closed the distance. Ships, sleek, angular crafts unlike anything humanity had ever built. Their surfaces shimmered with the same silvery hue as the creatures and the structure we'd explored. Sofia, we've got company, I said, my stomach twisting. How many? She asked, her hands already flying over the controls. Too many. The ships encircled us, their engines emitting a low, thrumming vibration that reverberated through the asteroid's thin atmosphere. A beam of light shot out from the lead ship, scanning the Odyssey. Our systems flickered, and the emergency power drained away. The ship went dark. They've disabled us, Sofia whispered. Before I could respond, a loud clang echoed through the hull. Something was attaching itself to the ship. Then the airlock hissed open. My hand instinctively went to the wrench at my side, though I knew it wouldn't do much good. They're boarding, I said, my voice low. Stay behind me. The figures that entered were humanoid but unmistakably alien. Their bodies were tall and lean, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Their faces were expressionless, their eyes glowing faintly. They moved with precision, like machines. One of them raised a device, and a wave of energy washed over us. My muscles locked up, and I collapsed to the floor. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I could only watch as they approached, their movements cold and methodical. Sofia was beside me, frozen in the same way. The leader bent down, its face inches from mine, and for a moment, I thought I saw something in its eyes. Curiosity? Pity? It was impossible to tell. Then, everything went dark. When I woke, I was in a cell. The walls were smooth and metallic, glowing faintly with the same silvery light I'd come to associate with this strange place. My arms and legs were restrained, held in place by energy bands that hummed softly. Across from me, Sofia was in a similar state, her eyes wide with fear and anger. "Preston," she said, her voice trembling. "What the hell is happening?" "I don't know," I replied, my throat dry. "Are you okay?" "Define okay," she snapped. "We're restrained in an alien prison, so—" "No, not okay." The door to the cell slid open, and one of the metallic beings stepped inside. Behind it was a figure unlike anything I'd seen before. It was larger than the others, its body adorned with intricate patterns that glowed faintly. Its eyes burned with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine. The larger figure spoke, its voice echoing in our minds rather than our ears. The words were clear, though alien in their cadence. "You crossed the threshold. You carry the artifact. You are now property of the collective." "Property?" Sofia spat, struggling against her restraints. "We're not your property." The figure tilted its head, almost as if amused. "You will serve. The artifact belongs to us, and so do you." "Over my dead body," I growled. The alien stepped closer, its presence suffocating. "Your defiance is irrelevant. The collective does not negotiate." Before I could respond, the restraints released, and I collapsed to the floor. Sofia was freed as well, though the energy bands around our wrists and ankles remained. Two smaller beings entered, grabbing us with inhuman strength and dragging us from the cell. We were taken to a massive chamber filled with other beings, other slaves. The air was thick with the hum of machinery and the low murmur of voices. The slaves were a mix of species, none of them human. Some were reptilian, others insectoid, and others still defied description. They all wore the same energy bands as us, their movements slow and subdued. "This is insane," Sofia whispered. "They're running some kind of interstellar slave operation?" "Looks like it," I replied, my jaw tight. "But why us? Why now?" Before she could answer, a loud chime echoed through the chamber. The slaves stopped what they were doing, their heads turning toward a raised platform at the center of the room. The large alien from our cell stood there, its glowing patterns shifting hypnotically. "You are here to serve the collective," it announced, its voice resonating in our minds. "Resistance is futile. Obedience ensures survival." The word sent a wave of despair through me. We'd crossed the barrier, survived the impossible, only to end up as slaves in a world we didn't understand. But as I looked around, I saw something in the eyes of the other slaves, something the collective couldn't erase. Defiance. Hope. That night, in the dim light of the slave quarters, Sofia and I began to plan. The artifact, the orb, was still with us, locked away in a vault under heavy guard, but we'd seen what it could do. It was powerful, connected to something beyond the collective's understanding. If we could get to it, we might have a chance. "We didn't come all this way to end up as their property," I said, my voice low but firm. "We're getting out of here." "And how do you propose we do that?" Sofia asked. "They've got technology we can't even comprehend." "We'll use their arrogance against them," I replied. "They think we're weak, they think we're broken, but they don't know what humans are capable of." Her lips curled into a faint smile. "All right, Preston, let's show them." The next day, we began to gather allies. Quietly, subtly, we reached out to the other slaves, learning their stories, their strengths, their weaknesses. Some were too broken to fight, but others still had fire in their eyes. Together we formed a plan, a desperate, reckless plan to steal the artifact and escape. As the collective continued their cold mechanical operations, they didn't see the rebellion brewing right under their noses, but they would. Soon. They would. And when they did, they'd learn what it meant to challenge the indomitable spirit of humanity. The hum of the alien machinery was constant, a rhythmic reminder of the chains that bound us. Sofia and I sat in the dim slave quarters, our ragged breaths mingling with the whispers of defiance around us. The artifact, the glowing orb, was the key to everything. We knew it, and so did the collective. They guarded it fiercely, but we had something they didn't expect: unity. Before we dive into the escape of a lifetime, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss this conclusion. And if you've been rooting for Preston, Sofia, and the enslaved species, leave a like or comment below. Let's show some love for the rebellion. The plan was simple in theory: steal the artifact, disable the guards, and escape through the collective's docking bays. In practice, it was chaos waiting to unfold. But we weren't alone anymore. Over the past days, Sofia and I had gathered a coalition of slaves, each bringing unique strengths to the table. There was Kareth, a reptilian engineer who could dismantle alien tech with frightening ease. Grix, an insectoid with razor-sharp appendages, excelled in stealth. And Lila, a luminous, energy-based being, could manipulate electrical systems. Together, we were a patchwork rebellion, a united force against an empire that had never been challenged. The night of the escape, tension crackled in the air. Sofia stood beside me, her face set in determination. "This either works or it doesn't," she said, gripping the crude blade we'd fashioned from scrap metal. "No middle ground." "We're getting out of here," I replied, my voice firm, "and we're taking everyone we can with us." The plan began with a diversion. Grix and his team slipped through the shadows, disabling the surveillance systems in the docking bay. Meanwhile, Kareth and Lila worked to override the locks on the artifact's vault. Sofia and I were on guard duty, keeping watch for the patrols that roamed the facility. When the alarm blared, I thought we'd been caught. But it wasn't us. Grix had staged a commotion near the main generator, drawing the collective's attention. The guards mobilized, leaving their posts to investigate. It was the opening we needed. "Go, go, go!" I hissed, motioning for Kareth and Lila. The vault doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the artifact. It pulsed with light, almost as if it recognized us. Sofia grabbed it carefully, her eyes wide with awe. "This is it," she whispered. "This is our chance." The escape wasn't clean. The collective realized too late what was happening, and chaos erupted in the corridors. The guards returned, their precision and cold efficiency making them deadly adversaries. But we were fighting for freedom, and that gave us an edge. The dock was a war zone. Slaves, weapons, and beaten fought alongside us, wielding makeshift weapons and raw determination. The collective had never faced resistance like this. They faltered, their machine-like coordination disrupted by the sheer unpredictability of our rebellion. Kareth commandeered a ship, its alien controls no match for his expertise. "Get in," he shouted, his voice echoing across the chaos. "We don't have much time." We piled into the vessel, the artifact glowing brighter as if responding to our desperation. The engines roared to life and the docking bay doors began to close. "Hold on," Sofia yelled, slamming the throttle forward. The ship shot through the narrowing gap, escaping into the vastness of space. Behind us, the collective's fleet scrambled to pursue. The artifact was our salvation. Its energy created a rift, a shimmering portal back to the barrier we had crossed so long ago. As we entered, the pursuing ships faltered, unable to follow. The portal sealed behind us, cutting us off from the collective's reach. And then we saw it. Our solar system. Home. Earth was a distant blue marble, its beauty bringing tears to my eyes. We had made it. Against all odds, we were going home. Our return wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. Humanity had changed during our absence. The mystery of the barrier had sparked global unity, nations working together to uncover its secrets. When Sofia and I landed, our ship battered but intact, the world was waiting. The artifact was the key. Its energy held the secrets of the universe, a bridge between civilizations. But its most important lesson wasn't technological. It was a reminder of what we'd learned out there, what we'd proven. Unity is strength. When species come together, when individuals put aside their differences for a common goal, there's nothing they can't achieve. The artifact was placed in a secure facility, studied by the brightest minds on Earth. Its power inspired a new era of exploration, not just of space, but of ourselves. And as humanity prepared to take its place among the stars, we carried the memories of those we'd fought alongside, the slaves we'd freed, the friends we'd lost, and the defiance that had driven us. And so, humanity's story continues. If you've been inspired by this tale of courage, unity, and hope, don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is next for humanity? And if you want more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Together, we'll keep exploring the unknown.